So we're back on the Coleman CT200U-EX with the swing arm. You can see we got the swing arm all made up. We still have to weld on the tabs to that jack shaft and make sure, you know, everything's fully welded, but we're not going to do that right now. What we're going to focus on is the shock mount for the rear, and then we can work on the seat. So the seats on these bikes set really downhill, so we're going to get rid of that. So first off, we got to cut these 3 tabs with these 3 bars, cut this little fender mount off, get rid of it, because if we mount a fender, it's going to be right under the sink. Engine placement's good. The engine plate's where it needs to be, jack shaft, everything. We are going to bring another brace from here down to this bar running under this here in a little while, so we can get that notched up. But main concern is cutting this out of the way, getting it going, so we can start mocking up our shock. And this will be like the way the bike will set at like ride height with me on it probably. So it'll actually be up in the back a lot when you get off of it, because we want to have good off-road stance nation, you know what I'm saying?
Stance.
So we'll get to cutting. Alright, she's been a minute since we worked on the Coleman, but we're ready to mount the shock onto the swing arm, and then we can do the seat, and then the last thing is gas tank and exhaust. So we did move the pivot points of this down a little bit because this is where the ride height around the bouts is going to be, and the swing arm was at way too much of an incline. It looked dumb. This chain does get looser as the suspension squats, so what we're going to do is run a chain tensioner on the bottom, a spring loaded one, so that won't become a problem hopefully. And it's really hard to get the pivot point on a swing arm like this right. So I'm thinking we'll do the shock like this. This only has probably 2 inches of travel, maybe 3, which is fine because this is a real stout shock and I think it looks cool. So I'm going to weld this tab down here. This is off some go-kart. Weld it right there, tack it on, and then we can build some type of bracket that comes in here, and then we can test, you know, how good it works. So I'm gonna throw a little spatter on that puppy, a little hot glue. Now this swing arm is offset, so I'm just guesstimating where this puppy's gonna go. Easy. I don't know what crotch rocket this shock is off of, but it looks cool, so that's why we're using it. So now we can just do, I could do something simple and run a straight piece of tube across this and then put, these are just ears off another go-kart. I can make some notched ones that fall right on a piece of 1-inch tube. That's probably what we'll do, and it'll set just like that right there. I mean, we can stand it on up because the seat will be kind of in this spot right here. So we'll get some tabs made and get this shock installed, and then we can see how squishy it is. All right, so we got the shock. We just put this is a 90-degree bend, and I got a little tiny bit of a gap to weld, but I didn't feel like notching it. So tell me when she's centered. We just got everything tacked, so hopefully it don't snap apart. 1, 2, 6, 7.
Jeepers, mister, you're really strong.
Don't burn your buttocks.
That's all on my buttocks. So the seat will be right here. And we can set the preload of this thing. How much is it swallowed?
You probably got about an inch left.
So half.
Probably.
Yep, there goes one of the tacks cracking. I got a tack cracking, but that's pretty sweet. And the chain, as we squat it, is going to get loose. And as it lifts up, it's going to get tighter, which it's still loose right there. But we haven't put the chain tensioners on the back, so I'm going to get these few things fully welded, and then we can move on to probably mounting the seat next, getting the seat put on. And we're probably going to use the factory Coleman seat, so we'll get her done. so we was at the Pate swap meet last year in 2019. I bought this Harley Davidson peanut tank. This is the same exact tank we used on the mini chopper. And you can buy these for about 120 on Amazon or eBay. They're really good quality tanks, and they're perfect for mini bikes, especially MB200s. They sit right on that tunnel. Well, the Coleman, of course, has this split set up. So what I'm gonna do is, you see where I've Sharpie marked it, I'm basically gonna cut this whole tunnel out and then cut that shape out until it fits nicely over that with a little bit of wiggle room. And then we can build a steel plate that encapsulates this all the way and hangs down. Then we can basically slide the tank onto that, trace, you know, like what we have to cut off that, and then basically TIG weld it all to this. It's going to be a lot of work, but that tank will look sweet on there. I think it'll match the look of everything. Then we can slap the engine on after we get the tank. We mock up the exhaust, and then we're really close to riding this puppy. Got to do back brakes, and we're going to add front brakes in a later video to this front disc brake. So we'll show you guys how to do that. So I'm going to take an angle grinder and cut up this $120 tank.
Nice.
And we can reuse these bungs. I didn't want to cut up the bung, so went around it. So there's a freshly root tank. Root. So we're gonna have to open it up a little bit, and I'd like it dropped down some. It's way too high.
Yeah. It looks pretty sick from the front though.
Yeah, I think just opening it up a little bit more. I want it all the way against the sink.
A tad bit, like.
Oh, holy moly!
And then what? Come up like an inch in the front, because the front's setting down all the way as far as you cut. So you'll have to take a little bit more off of that, but
yeah, so we'll get this trimmed up, get it to set down on there. Then we can make our cut straighter. You can see where I had to cut that at a little bit of a hump.
grinder will make that nice smooth transition too.
That's what I'll probably, yeah, we'll get this cut up. So jump ahead a little bit. We got the tank pretty much done. So I welded on inside the tank. I've welded some 1/4 inch bolts down. So there's basically 2 studs sticking out the bottom. So you can see 2 1/4 inch bolts is welded in there. I've TIG welded the whole sides now. I just gotta, you know, fill the gap. That's gonna be a son of a gun because this is thicker or thinner steel. You can see where this is just how we had to cut it and the angle of it. And then we gotta enclose this. So I'll start forming some metal to be able to put in here and trim it up. But that is how you could adapt a motorcycle tank. So all we did was we took a piece of plate, measured how far we wanted the front of the tank, how far we wanted the back, measured the width up here and the length, and just cut that out on a piece of, I think this is like 16 gauge steel. And then we built some ears and welded it on. So this is TIG welded all the way on the inside, this crease is. So we will pressure test this with just a few PSI once it's all welded to make sure there's no leaks. But so there's the gas tank. Like I said, we get those 1/4 inch bolts. It falls right on there, but it is a tight wedge fit on there, like the sides of the tank, so that's why it holds itself on, but we shouldn't get any rattling or anything like that. So suspension, like I said, the swing arm, the chain is not tight right now, and it does loosen as you, and the preload is not set any on the shock. So you can see, I'm a fat daddy, so she's got some movement. That's bobbing out the shock right there.
It looks really fun.
It's going to be fun. And we're going to stiffen up the front suspension, of course. You know, these Colemans don't have the tightest suspension. So I did buy a tool to be able to adjust this shock, the preload on it. It's supposed to be in the next couple of days, so we can set that preload up and see if it's going to be good enough for me. Worst case Ontario, I can raise the shock up. So the straighter up your shock is, the tighter it's going to be, the harder to compress, and the more forward it's going to be easier. And the closer you get to the pivot point, the easier, the farther away. We can't go any further away. But I do like how everything looks sick. So make sure to check out the links in the video description where you can find everything that's going on this bike. That 301 has a full stage 2 kit from Go Power Sports. It's the same as the GX270 Honda. So it has a billet rod, billet flywheel, a cam, a ported head, as well as Go Power Sports. I think it's a 26 or a 28 millimeter true flat slide Mikuni. Go Power Sports is a Mikuni dealer, so they have true Mikunis, or if you want to save money, you can buy knockoffs from them. Don't buy knockoffs. The Mikunis are great. So let us know what you think about this mini bike in the comment section below. I think it's going to be pretty sweet. We need to, next video we'll basically have it fully put together, and we'll be able to finish up everything, the exhaust, finally cut this big stub off. We're using our jack shaft as our kickstand right now. But I think it looks awesome. Let us know what you think, guys. Shorter video this week. We're trying to get on track. We don't have a home anymore. Trying to get the office ready to move into, so bear with us. Well, we got a lot of good mini bike content coming out. We're bringing back the tandem mini bike. We're gonna do a top speed run on it and stuff with two people on it and have some fun. So we love you guys. We thank you for watching, and check out those links. Support your boy. We love you and God bless.